Most off-grid solar quotes are too big, and you end up paying for power you'll never use. Here's why. The system gets sized for a home nobody ever measured, so the panels, the battery, all of it get padded to be safe, and the price balloons. But sizing an off-grid system isn't guesswork, and it isn't about buying more. It's an order of operations. You measure what you actually use, you cut that number hard, and then you size each part backward from one honest figure. Do it in the right order and the whole system shrinks. Panels, battery, the lot, and the price comes down with it. I'm not going to sell you a bigger system. I'm going to show you how to need a smaller one, because the cheapest watt of solar is the one you never have to buy. Before you price a single panel, do the one thing almost everyone skips: cut your load. This is the move that saves the most money, and it costs the least. Here's why it's so good. Every watt you remove doesn't just shrink the panels. It shrinks the charge controller, the battery bank, and the inverter, all four at the same time. The savings compound straight through the whole system. Swap to efficient lights and appliances, kill the phantom draws, run your heavy stuff in daylight when the sun is doing the work. A fridge you replaced, a pump you scheduled. Each one quietly makes every other part of the build cheaper. So the cheapest kilowatt you will ever buy is the one you delete first. Reduce, then size. Never the other way around. Once you've cut, you turn your habits into one honest number. How many kilowatt hours you actually use in a day. List what runs, how many watts it pulls, how many hours it's on, and add it up. That daily kilowatt hour figure is the foundation. Every other part is sized from it. Then the second number, peak sun hours. That's not how long the sun is up. It's how many hours of full-strength sun your location really gets, and it changes with where you live and the season. Size against your worst realistic month, not your best. These two numbers, what you use and what your sky actually delivers, are what the rest of the build stands on. Get them honest, and everything downstream gets easier. Now the panels. The array is your daily kilowatt hours divided by your peak sun hours times a derate factor of roughly 1.3. That last number trips people up, so here's what it's doing. Panels never give you their sticker rating in the real world. You lose a little to inverter inefficiency, a little to dust and dirt on the glass, a little to voltage drop in the wires, more to heat on a hot day. The 1.3 quietly pays for all of that, so your array actually covers the load instead of falling short on paper. Most designs land somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5. Skip the derate and your perfectly sized array underdelivers every single day. Add it, and the panels do what you size them to do. Between your panels and your battery sits the part people quietly get wrong, the charge controller. It's the traffic cop. It takes what the panels make and feeds the battery safely. Size it like this. Array watts times 1.25 divided by your battery voltage gives you the amps it has to handle. That 1.25 isn't padding. It's electrical code. On a cold, clear day, panels can briefly push 25 to 30% over their rated output, and the controller has to swallow that surge. Buy one rated exactly at your calculated number, and it runs at its thermal limit every sunny day, overheats, and dies early. So give it the margin. Go a touch bigger here on the cheapest box in the build, and you protect the most expensive part, the battery, sitting right behind it. The battery is where the money really lives, so size it on purpose. The formula: your daily kilowatt hours times your days of autonomy divided by the usable depth you can actually pull. Days of autonomy is how long you want to run with no sun. Most homes pick 2 to 3 days, and cloudy regions go 4 to 5. Then the usable depth, and this is the catch. A lithium battery lets you use about 80% of what's on the label. A lead acid one, only about 50. So for the same job, a lithium bank ends up roughly half the size of a lead acid one. Good lithium also runs 3,000 to 5,000 cycles, 10 to 15 years, and at the end of that, it still holds most of its capacity. It fades. It doesn't just die. Size this block honestly, because guessing here is the expensive mistake. Last block, the inverter, which turns your battery's direct current into the regular power your home runs on. And here the rule flips. Every other part you sized off daily energy, total kilowatt hours. The The inverter you size off the biggest moment. Add up everything that might run at the exact same instant. The pump kicking on while the kettle's boiling and the tools are going, and size for that peak, plus the surge when motors start. Too small, and it trips the moment two big things run together. Too big, and you've overpaid for headroom you never touch, and it runs less efficiently when it's barely loaded. So this one block you measure in surge watts, not in a day's worth of energy. Match it to your worst simultaneous moment, and no further. Now, the two ways people overpay, and they're opposites. Oversizing is the obvious one. You buy a huge array and a giant battery to be safe, but a charge controller just clips whatever the battery can't take, so the extra panels and storage sit there as money you'll never use. That's overpaying up front. The sneakier mistake is undersizing the wrong block. Skimp on the array and your battery never gets fully charged. And a battery that lives half-empty sulfates, deep cycles, and dies years early. That cheap small system quietly becomes the expensive one when you replace the bank ahead of schedule. Both are overpaying. The answer to both is the same: right-sized, not big. Match each block to your real, cut-down load. No panic padding, no false economy. So here's the whole thing, in order. You cut your loads first, because that shrinks everything downstream. You turn what's left into one honest daily kilowatt-hour number against your real sun hours. From that, the panels, kilowatt-hours over sun hours, times the derate. Then the controller, sized with its code margin to protect what's behind it. Then the battery, sized for your days of autonomy and the depth you can actually use. And finally, the inverter, matched to your biggest simultaneous moment. Loads, then need, then panels, controller, battery, inverter. Each one sized from the block before it, not pulled out of a catalog, not padded for comfort. That chain, in that order, is how a system ends up right-sized instead of just big. So, how do you stop overpaying for off-grid solar? You don't haggle on price. You change the order you work in. Measure what you really use. Cut it as hard as you can, because the cheapest watt is the one you delete. Then size each part from that honest number with the standard margins and stop. A right-sized system isn't the impressive one in the brochure. It's the one that quietly covers your real life, costs less, and lasts longer because nothing in it is being abused. Off-grid solar was never about buying the biggest array. It's about needing less, then sizing the rest with your eyes open. Do that, and you're not buying a pile of gear. You're buying power that's actually yours.